Welcome to the Hope Thing, a Native American podcast where we discuss focused topics within tribal housing and self-determination. I'm Alyssa Atkins, the Training and Development Coordinator, and with me is Brooke Warrington, the Training and Development Specialist. Today we'll be talking about Krystle Bowers Garden in honor of National Garden Week. Krystle Bowers is a Seminole Tribe of Florida tribal member and the Climate Resiliency Policy Coordinator for the Heritage and Environment Resources Office for the Seminole Tribe of Florida. So let's just go ahead and welcome back, Krystle, to the podcast. You've been on here many times, and it's always a pleasure to have you. So, would you like to share with our audience just a little bit about you before we
Yeah,
dive in?
yeah, sure. So, like you said, I'm a member of the Seminole Tribe of Florida. I'm Panther Clan, and I have a garden in my yard. So that my garden journey probably started, let me think, maybe about 8 years ago, and it really was just like one little pot with I just threw some watermelon seeds in. And I wanted to do that because I've always heard that fruits and vegetables taste so much better when you grow them on your own. So I was hoping to get a really good watermelon, but I was so not educated on gardening back then that I realized you had to fertilize the plant to actually get the fruit. So I never got it, and it kind of dissuaded me from gardening for maybe like a year or so. And then I didn't really do like research on when you're supposed to put things in the ground, and when how long it takes and what all it needs, like water, fertilizer. And so there was a huge learning curve there. And then even now still like I make so many mistakes. I barely get anything from my garden. Really most of it goes to the animals around, the birds and the insects. Just like last year I had a good amount of strawberry plants growing and a good amount of strawberries, and they grow fast. So I would check them, every day, every other day. And most of the time the bugs would get to them before I do. But, like you could just cut the bug ate part off and then eat the rest. So that's pretty much what I had to do. And that's really what you have to accept, that you're going to lose some to bugs or to other pests. And some people just don't use for like pesticides at all, which is what organic gardening is. But some people use like more organic friendly, like neem oil is supposed to be organic for pesticide to keep certain bugs off your plants. And I tried that, but to me it didn't seem like it worked. And maybe I didn't try hard enough. I'm not sure, but this year I have some watermelons, and I might actually get one that's pretty good. It looks really juicy so far, and I'm hoping within the next few weeks I'll be able to harvest it and eat one. I'm really excited about that.
Hey,
And
that sounds so exciting. Like, I bet it's exciting, like watching it grow, like watching the vegetables and fruit. Like, I'm sure just watching it progress is probably so exciting. I saw a little hack for the strawberries that if you have rocks and you paint them as strawberries and you leave them year round, the birds know better. Like they'll pick at them. So when you have fresh fruit, they won't go for them because it hurts their beaks. So I
yeah.
don't know if you've like tried any hacks like that, or like you said, you've done the neem oil and you didn't really think it worked. Is there anything else that you've like tried or that you saw that it worked for you?
I think uh, what people say is the best thing to do is to plant native plants. Honestly, because then you'll attract more insects that eat the insects that are attacking your plants. And so that's what I've been trying to do. And honestly, I think it has been working because like I'm actually getting some watermelon this year. I think 2 years ago I grew some, and they got decimated by some insects as well. And like this year, I actually have some of them look like, not gonna lie, some of them look pretty pathetic, but that's part of gardening. Like you're gonna have some good ones and you're gonna have some ones that, didn't do so well. I think that's partly my fault as well for not watering them so consistently. Like I want to wait for like 2 weeks and pretty much didn't water them those entire 2 weeks. And then the seeds they're pretty old. But some people say that's not necessarily a problem. They say seeds can last for decades. It really brings a connection to your food. Like I was definitely never been this connected to what I've been eating because you don't realize how much work it takes to just grow one watermelon. You're fighting insects and birds and um just yourself. Like get out there and water and like like no, it's too hot. And like so it you get a respect for farmers and people who go out and who are just picking the fruit because it is getting hot out here.
Yeah. That's so great though that you got like, your gardening journey started with like the want of a watermelon and like you're hitting this milestone now where, you got one that's coming along nice and juicy. That's awesome.
I know.
Um I feel like with the watering, you can't be like too hard on yourself because I've read a lot about how, with rain, it's not always, consistent and, nature abides regardless. So general trial and error. It might not have been your inconsistent watering because rain can be inconsistent, and that doesn't necessarily kill them. But
Yeah, I'm sure there's tons of factors that go into it, like you're saying. Like,
mm,
but a lot of them died out. I think I planted them too closely as well. I was planting more than necessary and trying to pick some out once they got a little bit bigger. I don't think I pruned them enough.
I mean, but that's like a learning process. I feel like next year you're just gonna get like even better and better, and the next thing you know, you're gonna have that wonderful little colorful basket of vegetables, and that's my goal. I want a colorful basket.
I know, right? That's what I'm trying to do. Like I, but I just need to like focus on one thing. I feel like I wanted everything. Like I want to be surviving off my garden but I'm like, I can't even get two watermelons to grow. Like, let me focus on like one or two things. So next year, I think I'm gonna just do like peppers and maybe watermelons and try to focus on that because this year I tried to grow a lot and honestly, like I really didn't get much. Well, I got a lot of peppers. I got a lot of peppers. And I got like a lot of salad stuff, but I don't really eat too many salads. I just grew it out for my bunnies, so I gave all of that to the bunnies.
Never let your bunnies run out.
No, no. Like I don't have like a caged in area, so they probably just like run away.
They'd come back for the garden.
Yeah, right, right.
That's so awesome though that you're able to feed your bunnies at home.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
I still live in an apartment, so that's one of those like kind of long-term dreams of mine is to be able to like one day finally have a yard because right now I know there are things like I could technically grow, but I don't want to it's like so hard to move it all if you do start or if you do like little window units and so it's kind of like a shelf that's like or a dream that's up on a shelf for now for me. I'm just like a houseplant mummy.
Mhm. No, it's oh,
It's my stepping stone. But I want to do tomatoes. I always
yeah,
hear like really good experiences with growing tomatoes here in Florida, other than like iguanas getting them. But
yeah. Turn on. Yeah, my husband grew some tomatoes this year. They came out really good. I need to pick some and make them into salsa, but I just been lazy. And he grew a whole bunch of sunflowers too. Like there's a lot of sunflowers, like 100 maybe in our yard right now.
oh my god, I
Yeah,
bet that's beautiful.
yeah, it's so nice.
Yeah, I gotta remember to plant the flowers.
Yeah, yeah. Trying to turn my yard into just a pollinator and garden oasis. Just try to get rid of lawn altogether. It's a waste of space. I mean, the reasons lawns started in the first place was to prove that you were rich and didn't need to have a garden. It started with like Buckingham Palace. I think they were like the first ones to have like grassy lawns just to
Mm.
prove their wealth and that they can waste space with a lawn.
honestly never even like contemplated. It was just always there. I never questioned it. That's wild.
Yeah,
That's so interesting.
Can you
yeah.
please tell me more?
Yeah.
'Cause that like Brick said, that's news to me as well. I've never even made the connection. Like that is wasted space,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, it's wasted space and wasted water because you have to use a lot of water to upkeep your lawn. And I don't know, I think that was like the late 18, maybe mid late 1800s when Buckingham Palace started doing that. And Americans and really, they still look towards royalty still back then for social, interactions like that. So they really wanted to seem like they're rich, like as of course like royalty. And really best way to do that was to mimic whatever royalty was doing. That's why wedding dresses are typically white. That's why we have lawns. Because Queen Elizabeth wore a white wedding dress at her wedding. Or not Elizabeth. I don't remember which one it was. One of the queens back then. And it's such a waste of space, and it's why we have very little insects populations now because everybody has a lawn and very little native plants. And I was reading something today actually like gave me a little bit more hope. Like a lot of people are feeling really defeated because like I said a few times now, 70%, maybe I think it might be 80 now, um, 80% of greenhouse gas emissions are solely from like 100 companies. And so that news really makes people feel like, well, nothing I do matters. But okay, yeah, individually, I mean, maybe that's true. But as a community, like if we all just like planted gardens and like we could make a big difference just in our yard. And it doesn't have to be, you know, the completely transformed it at one time. You can, add a bush here and there every year or however often, is good for you. And, within a season, you'll see a lot more pollinators, whatever plant you planted that attracts. Like I see a lot more butterflies because I plant a lot of butterfly plants, and you're gonna attract lots of animals if you just plant the things that they need to survive. I mean, there's so many butterflies, caterpillars that need certain specific plants for that stage of their life. And if they don't have that plant, then they're just not going to exist. So having a variety of plants as well helps. But if you can at least do one or two, like that's also really good for the insects in your area.
So, you know how sometimes when you're getting into like a hobby or like a new endeavor or anything like that, there's a little bit of like paralysis with all the choice that you can make. And oftentimes it can be a bit intimidating when it seems like you have to buy like every witch doodad that you see. If someone listening to our episode right now is thinking, like, I want to do that. Like, I want to slowly start my own garden in my yard. What are like a few things that you would say are all that they need to like get going, looking past like the flash and, the things that are nice to have. Like what are things that you like would actually need to do this for yourself if you were going to like make it a project over the weekend?
Oh, that's a good question. So firstly, I would say find a nursery that really supports organic gardening if that's what you want to do, and that supports native plants. You're going to Lowe's or Home Depot, like they'll sell you invasive plants still, like, and invasive plants are going to destroy the environment more, even if they are food based plants. So that would be my first recommendation. Find a local business that supports organic gardening and and or supports native plants or labels like if a plant is native or not. Yeah, when I go to like any native plant, they have like a Florida symbol on it, and it really helps with choosing plants. And so that would be the best thing to do. And there, the organic gardeners are gonna help you so much. Here in South Florida, we have Tree Amigos. They are amazing. They will not sell you plants that are out of season. So they only grow plants that will grow at that time of the year. Lowe's and Home Depot will sell you tomatoes and peppers all times of the year, which it's not going to work. They're going to die almost as soon as you get home. Which can be demoralizing in of itself because you think you're a bad gardener. It's like, no, these places are selling you plants that knowing that you're gonna fail and then have to come back a month later and buy the same thing over again. So you definitely want to find an honest business that will set you up for success. And in here in Florida, we have an opposite growing season than pretty much the rest of the U.S. Where while everybody's pretty much harvesting and stopping in October, that's when we're starting. Some people even wait till after October because they want to wait to the end of hurricane season. And then, if you have the funds to get a bed, I love raised garden beds just because I don't know how the soil is here, and because I'm in Hollywood, and which is a really urbanized area, and our home is on just pretty much filled dirt. So lots of rocks, and I don't know what else in there. So I've never got it tested. But you do want to get your soil tested if you're not going to buy soil from a nursery or a garden store because you just don't know what's in it. It could, be toxic chemicals that get into the plant and then you're going to eat the plant. So yeah, that's not good. And then I would say the best things you can have in your garden is if you want it to be super easy and more laid back, I would say get some fruit trees. Those are like the easiest because you just put them in the ground and then water them for a few weeks, and then they're pretty much good. And give them fertilizer once or twice a year. We have mulberry tree here, which it's ever bearing, so it fruits pretty much all year round, and it's really good. And we have some um what else do we have? Oh, banana trees. I think those are gonna start fruiting pretty soon they need a lot of water. So our wet season's coming up. So I think we should be seeing some bananas pretty soon. And we have a lime and lemon tree, which I just got some info from a gardener friend of mine. He said they don't really grow too well here, so we'll see. That's one I bought from Lowe's, just and that. So I figure that's another reason why not to buy from like Lowe's and Home Depot. Just like I said, they'll sell you stuff that can't even grow in Florida.
My mom has a grapefruit tree and a lime tree in her backyard, and those suckers don't give up.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
think she does like anything to really tend to them, but
Mhm.
they're hanging in there. Um, there was an orange tree at one point, and then something happened. She had to cut it down. But yeah,
Oh
especially the grapefruit tree. Oh my God, that thing a lot. Because I don't like
yeah.
grapefruit, so to me it always seems like this is so unnecessary. This is too much. Um, I was telling Alyssa earlier today, we were walking and saw a mango tree. I was telling her at the place I lived at before, there was a mango tree out front. And I was so happy every year until the year where I was like, what's happening? Like, I see other trees. What's going on? And that was when I found out it like flowers the first 5 years. And then every year after that, it's like every other year it will produce mangoes.
Um,
But yeah, I was like, I thought my mango tree was broken. I was
I'm actually allergic to mango sap, so I do not mess with mangoes. Yeah.
One of my friends has a really good mango tree in her backyard, and same thing, she's allergic, and she realized even going around in the yard and like picking up mangoes to bring to other people, she has to wear gloves.
Yeah, yeah. I would not touch them at all. break out in hives.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear that. That's horrible.
I know everybody
Well,
gets so excited for mango season, and I'm just like, oh no, I'm good.
like, stay away.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Dang, and they're everywhere.
Yeah, my at my
Wow.
dad's house, we used to have like a 30-foot mango tree, and none of us in the house ate mangoes.
My
So
God,
we
your
just
yard.
yeah. So the
Just to
neighbors would
see
all
'em.
come and take them. Yeah,
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
that's good.
yeah.
I feel like that's always a really nice part of the year. That's like something that brings community together because it's the time of the year where like everyone who has mango trees in their yard is like coming around with shopping bags. One of my neighbors had a huge one in her yard, and near the end of the season, you would just see shopping bags, like little Publix bags full with mangoes sitting out at the edge of her yard where it was like, there you guys go. Like if you're walking by and you want them, take them.
I know
Just
it's so
embarrassment of
funny.
riches.
It's so funny going to the grocery store during that time and there's mangoes there for sale. I'm like, who's buying mangoes right now? Do you not have any friends? Mango trees? Like, I don't understand.
That's a litmus test, guys. If you are popular in Florida,
Right.
how many people do you know bringing around mangoes?
Right.
If you don't know anybody, that's weird, and you don't know anybody because that really is a thing down here. I love it.
I mean, in Florida, for sure, I feel like, right? Because
Yeah.
even my, like, my family's up in Orlando, and when it's mango season down here, like, I'll have to get mangoes for them because it doesn't taste the same, like, there's a specific type that only, like, I guess grows down here. I can't remember it, but it's, like, red something, or it's the type of mango, or blood mango, something like that, but apparently it's much better when it's grown down here, so I have to, like, bring them to my family in Orlando so they can have their mangoes.
Got something good in Florida at least.
Yeah. But speaking of, bringing the community together, I think that was a perfect tie to talk about the community garden. So can you tell us a little bit about BC's community garden and, like, how you got involved with that and how your knowledge of your garden and BC is just really kind of, like, merged together? What was that like?
Okay, so Marty, I think he started a garden about a year ago. It took him a long time to get it started just because they had to jump through so many hoops through like council and like the permitting process. It just took a long time just to find a piece of land where they could have it. But luckily it passed through and now he has it going pretty good now. And so last year during the summertime, we went up to New York to tour. It's Haudenosaunee band up there. I think that's how you pronounce it. And so we visited a few of their tribes, and they showed us their food sovereignty programs up there. And me and Marty was there as well, and we just got so energized with the thought of having a community garden that could be very prolific and feed the entire community. And then we also seen some of their like language programs there as well. And so I asked Marty, like, hey, if I, come out and help you, would you be willing to, teach me the language? And he's like, yeah, of course. And so we've only done it a few times so far because I think Marty he kind of started late because he was like busy with his life. And so started kind of late in the season. And now we kind of haven't met recently, but I had been going to him, like going to visit him and help out for like 2 or 3 months. And, it was like it pretty much an exchange. I was giving him, my labor, making his job a little bit easier because even though it's supposed to be a community garden and and not to say anything about our community because it's the same anywhere else, you need someone that's a paid person to manage the garden. Like no one, no community is gonna, give their labor freely for so long, unless they're, they're in desperate need. But even then, like, we still have the grocery stores and the convenience of buying food from anywhere. So, sometimes you're just gonna be like, well, I don't want to go out there. I don't want to help. It's hot. There's so many things that can prevent you from going, prevent community members from going. So you just need one person that manages it and works there. And Marty is doing that, but he's doing it for free, which, I thank Marty for that. But it's a it's a big ask from somebody to do all that work for free. And we're hoping someday he can be on the payroll for the tribe, as a service to the tribe, creating healthy foods, pretty much healthy local foods, and having more control over what's grown, which is, the basis of food sovereignty. So food sovereignty, you decide what's grown, which, almost all of us don't have, because we just buy whatever is given to us in the groceries. And you decide what to put to the soil and garden. So, a lot of the fruits and vegetables we buy from the grocery store is, use pesticides and fertilizers that aren't good for the environment. And then just, the way it's grown. So, permaculture is like a really big topic right now, because you're integrating your garden into trees and bushes, and pretty much like a environment, but it has, pretty much an ecosystem, but it has your food in it as well. And that's that's the way to a healthy planet, is diversity. You want a diverse mixture of plants in an area. And for most agricultural farms, it's just monoculture, which doesn't really help with the bee population, because bees are attracted to multiple different things, not just one thing. And I'm talking about bumblebees, not honeybees. And bumblebees are, the basis of our food, pretty much. But we rely so much on honeybees to do the work of what bumblebees can be doing. And honeybees, I mean, I love honey, but they're not native to the United States. They're European bees. But I mean, both are important. We just stress honeybees more.
Are there like certain plants or anything that you do to bring more bumblebees? Is there anything that you've like noticed or heard that have helped?
Other than just the broad topic of native plants, I don't know any specific plants that attract bumblebees specifically. So like the sunflowers we planted, looks like we're attracting a lot of honeybees. I don't know if somebody has a hive around us or something. I mean, maybe, but it seems like we're getting a lot of honeybees around.
I wonder if part of that, like, I hate to say it, but if part of that's kind of like to a degree because of capitalism, because there's not really a way for us to make money off of bumblebees in the way that someone can make, an entire enterprise for themselves off the work of honeybees. So maybe that's a little bit why we see so many more of them. It's
Yeah,
possible.
yeah,
I hate to say it, but
yeah,
nothing against beekeepers. No disrespect.
yeah. No disrespect.
I mean, in no, judgmental way, more just like, kind of that's the way it is. But yeah, there could be a connection there.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, and I just remembered something I wanted to stress, because I didn't really know this either. If you're in a store and you're trying to, help the bee population, and they're selling, wildflower cases of seeds, big bags of like wildflower seeds, just don't buy those, honestly, because they don't care what seeds they put in, and most likely it's going to be invasives in there. Yeah. Yeah. So I know it does make things a lot harder, like how much us as individuals have to know to garden and be stewards of our lands. Like we can't even just go and buy wildflower packets and throw those around. Like no, because you might be spreading seeds. I mean, invasives, and it really does suck.
Can you maybe give a little bit of like explanation background about the issue and importance of like invasive species being present and why that is such a bad thing? Because I feel like us living in Florida, because it has like such a degree of effect on like our coastal waterways and like so much of like our seasonal economy, we know just kind of like we're Floridians, so we know. But people living in other places, like they might not really even get like what you mean by, invasive versus natural species and like why that matters.
Okay, so there's a a few categories. There's native species, and then there's invasives, and then there's also just like established ones that aren't really invasive or native. They're just kind of, there. So in for here, invasives, we have quite a few. Our most famous one, I think, are Australian pine and melaleucas. And so Australian pine was brought in, I think, for lumber reasons, if I'm not mistaken. And they started planting them on our coastal areas, thinking that they could stabilize the shorelines. But I mean, they really can't. They don't establish their roots well here, and so like if a hurricane occurs, they're usually like the first ones down, and that's dangerous because falling on things, but then also blocking roads so people can't escape or leave from where they're at until they're chainsaw and everything. And then with melaleucas, they brought that in to drain the water here. They drain the swamp, and now we can't get rid of them. They take in a lot of water, and they spread like crazy. They try to alter some beetles. I think they only use like sterile females to release into the environment and it attacks melaleucas branches or flowers, and it makes them so that they can't reproduce. I've seen some of those bugs and seen like how it affects, but I'm not sure if that's like a viable solution or not. I think they're still working on that project now. But yeah, it's they invasives just out compete everything around. They push out other plants, other animals, and they outcompete other species for resources, water, nutrients, and space. And it's really detrimental to the ecosystems here, especially even like Brazilian peppers. They just grow in like this tangled mass. And if you have them in like a cow pasture, like the cows can't even get in to use it as shade. So it's just like wasted space. Yeah. And they're just so prolific. Like you can like especially with like melaleucas, if you just chop them down, they'll like be on its side and they'll start growing from like that way. Yeah.
So part of the whole reason why we thought of having you on this podcast was because we know how passionate you are about your garden. And every time you come on, I feel like you have something new to share, like something new you've learned or something that's inspired you. And that honestly helps us because I currently am somebody that is struggling to grow things in my office. So hearing your experience and hearing you talk about like, I started off with this big goal of, yeah, I wanted the rainbow colorful basket, but I realized like I had to take a step back and like focus on certain plants. So I'm glad you're focusing on the watermelon. I hope your watermelon grows and grows and grows. And I kind of wanted to touch a little more about how you're talking about that connection you feel with your garden, the connection you feel with your fruit and watching it grow. Was that was that like a shock feeling to you? Or was that something that you were like you kind of just like full on like embraced? How was that feeling for you?
I think it was yeah, it's something I embrace, but it's also like um yeah, I've heard other people before me say things like that, and I'm just like, oh, okay, now I get what you're talking about. Like it really does bring a different understanding and connection. Uh, it's like I'm not gonna say compare it to my pets, but it's it's like they're up there. Like my dog here, my plants are here. Like it's just like when one dies or when I'm like pruning them for whatever reason, I'm just like worried. I'm like, am I pruning too much or am I like hurting the plant? But it's like really like most plants can take a lot of abuse. And then when they die back and I'm just like, oh man, like that's the end of its life cycle. I thought I could get maybe another, pepper or whatever it was, or, trying to like troubleshoot, why it didn't do so well. You put a lot of effort into keeping these things alive like you do with your pets. Like, and then when it doesn't work out, you're just like, oh, like, what did I do wrong? And sometimes it's not, like I said, sometimes it's not you, but sometimes it's you just gotta water them more or less. Some people water too much.
I'm saying, I'm looking at you, Awista. I'm not saying a word, but I'm looking at you. Awista's office is a plant graveyard here. Sometimes Mata is able to save them and bring them back to life. She has a whole bunch of plants just thriving in her office. That's cute. Yeah. But
Yeah.
there's a few in there doing good right now that she's getting better. And I shouldn't say anything because the plants in my office are fake, but the ones at home, those are my babies and those are thriving. I used to live in a place where it just didn't get any sense of like natural light. So for a little while I had kind of like an abusive relationship with plants in the sense that I would bring them inside, usually up to like maybe a month, and then it'd be like, okay, and I would bring it back to life outside to be like, let's try again and bring it back inside the house. And then finally I just had to make peace with like nothing can live here but me, I guess. And now I'm in a place where it's like a lot of natural light. And yes, all my plants that survive the in and out, in and out, in and out of the old apartment, they are now thriving in this new place. So sometimes it really isn't you, and sometimes Awista, it is.
Man,
Yeah.
everyone at work is gonna be like, did you learn anything? Did Krystle teach you anything? Did you learn a couple of tips?
Well, you can like stick your finger in the soil too to see if it's wet or dry. Like that's a good indicator of like if it needs more water. Yeah, it's a learning process. I mean, you learn the best when you make mistakes, and I mean, luckily, plants you can grow another one next year.
I mean, for me, no. But there are others who, yes, absolutely. But thank you so much, Krystle. Like your advice is always just so wonderful, and it's always a blast having you on the podcast. And I certainly had a lot of fun talking about your garden, and I can't wait to hear the updates. And hopefully, we can have pictures so we can post them. I'd love to post your watermelon so everybody can see.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll send you some.
Is there anything you want to share with us, or any tips? Or Brooke, you got any more questions?
Um, so, hmm. Grow fruit trees, like I said. Loquats. Oh my gosh, if you have not tried a loquat before, you need to try it. It's like literally my favorite fruit right now. It's like an Asian pear. It's like real tiny. Like, oh yeah, they're so good. I'm trying to find a loquat tree now to plant in my yard, but I just had one like 2 or 3 months ago, and I'm obsessed.
Loquat's fun to say too.
Yeah. I'm not sure if they grow everywhere, so it might just be a tropical fruit. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Do you get a lot of like fruit from that one tree?
The mulberry, yeah, yeah, I get a lot of fruit, like more so than we can eat. Like more than half is going to the birds and the insects.
Oh,
Yeah.
So, like, when you get a lot of fruit or food, do you do any preserving or anything to help with the food waste, or do you just give it fully to the animals?
I mean, want to start doing I like with mulberries, I think you can make like jam and stuff. So I
Hmm.
want to do stuff like that. It's just doing it.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So right now, just if it goes to the birds or the insects or back into the plant, like yeah, I'm fine with that right now. And same thing with the bananas. I mean, I would like to have all the bananas, but yeah, sometimes I just don't. Bananas, they need a lot of water. Sometimes I just don't water them enough and you know, they don't plump up as much as they should. So I'm just like, well, okay, this is just compost for the next banana tree.
Any
Yeah.
final messages of hope or encouragement for our green thumb challenged listeners?
I think most people, the issue is gonna be underwatering or overwatering, and the best way to prevent that is, like I said, stick your finger into the soil. Don't be afraid to get your fingers dirty. Like it's fine. You can just wash your hands afterwards and see if the soil is dry or, moist. And another good tip would be to use mulch. That'll keep the moisture in longer so you don't underwater too often.
Awesome. Well, you guys heard her. Get your hands dirty. Get out there.
Yeah.
Start gardening. That brings us to the end of today's episode. Huge thank you to Krystle for joining us today. If you enjoy our show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Please also visit our website, nativelearningcenter.com, to find more information on upcoming webinars and trainings. And feel free to contact our website with any episode ideas you guys would be interested in having us explore. Be sure to come back for more content, guys. Until then, this is Brooke and Owista and Krystle, and we hope to connect with you again really soon.